greater clarity, but it's it's very difficult. We have Chabad Nassau. Okay, Rambam. We are the laws of Kiddush HaChodesh, the sanctifying of the new month, which means knowing where the moon is. Right? This is actually all laws over here for those who would be in the court of law, right? They have to know everything about astrology, astronomy, right? And so what he's teaching us over here is if you were on the high court, you would have to know all of this, right? Now, since it's part of Rambam, so it's part of Torah, and therefore he gave it to us to learn, so obviously we got to know it. Now, I'll be quite frank, I've been following someone and watching with spheres. He's got actual spheres for the world, for the sun, for the different, there's 9 different spheres. We have the earth and the moon around the earth is in sphere number 1. The sun is in the 4th sphere. The constellations are in the 9th sphere. Saturn is in the 7th sphere. Now these spheres are transparent. It's not like, there's isn't a curtain between them to separate, right? But so there is knowing where the sun is, where the moon is relative to the constellations, relative to us on Earth. There is knowing where the sun is. All of these things are important because then you will know at any given point where the moon has to be. So therefore, when witnesses will come, you know exactly where it is without looking at it. So that when you interrogate them, you know exactly the questions to ask. You know that if it's more on top of you, so then you know that the sun is, where the sun has to be for that, to what angle the sun has to be vis-a-vis the moon, right? You know what, how much of the moon, how much of the moon, it's a new moon, right? So it's going to be, but where it is in the sky can be way on top of you. This past month, the moon, it was actually awesome when you had the full moon. It was right in front of you, as if when you're walking, coming closer towards it, which of course you're not coming closer, but it had that feel of it, that it's because it was very low. Winter months, it's higher. Last month it was it's pretty awesome. All of these things are necessary for someone who's on the high court, because in the high court they're interrogating the witnesses that come, to be very familiar with it. There are many fine details here that are whoa, awesome. Just to give you an idea, the Alter Rebbe, when he was 11 years old, gave a lecture on this to the sages of his generation and blew them away with the astrology and the astronomy that he knew and the questions that he had to ask. I'm having a challenge over here. Yeah. So now what we're learning now is built on what we learned previously, of course. So this will not be a simple, obvious, understanding and appreciation.
You will not get to the Alter Rebbe's level of understanding.
No. So let's just do a couple of, at least for the sake of learning some Rambam. All right. So chapter 15, if you desire to know the true position of the moon, which is a location of the moon that appears in the sky to us. There is the relative, the way it is vis-a-vis the galaxies, the constellations, but that's not called the true position. On any particular day, first calculate the mean of the moon at the time of sighting for a desired date. Then calculate the mean of the moon within its path and the sun's mean position for that date. Subtract the sun's mean from the moon's mean and double the remainder. The resulting figure is referred to as a double elongation. Here's a note if you want to have more. As mentioned previously, the intent of all the calculation of these chapters is to know how to sight the moon. In this context, the size and the double elongation is significant. To explain it is impossible for a double elongation to be less than 5 degrees or more than 62 degrees. That is 360 degrees, right, of a sphere, of the sphere of all of the spheres, right? So the moon is going 360 degrees. The sun is going 360. The sun goes every day, what we learned yesterday, 361, and it goes from the west to the south, to the east. We see it rising from the east, but its pathway is going from the west to the east, 361 degrees a day, which means I forgot.
That's percent.
Huh? That's not precise. That's an imprecise number. That's an imprecise number. There's an exact number, but that's an imprecise one. And the forgot now. Oh my gosh. It's not easy stuff. To explain, it's impossible. Okay. So between 5 and 60 degrees on the night of the moon is to be sighted. Its measure will never exceed or fall short of these numbers. Accordingly, it is necessary to contemplate the length of the double elongation. If the double elongation is 5 degrees or near that measure, there is no need to be concerned with an increase, and its measure need not be increased. If the length of double elongation is between 6 and 11 degrees, one should add 1 degree to the mean of the moon within its path. In other words, to find out where it is. That's the point, right? That it's to find out where the moon is going to be on that given night, as he's giving the formula. And with that, we're going to stop.
Yeah, I need AI to help me with this.
Yeah. Okay. All right, folks.
Dr.
4 p.m. TRC.